working, hopefully. Right, hello and welcome to another episode of the Bulbacast. It's been a while. It's new decade, new games, 2020, and Sword and Shield. With me here today are a few people who have played the game, as I have not, so I can't really talk much about it. We have with us Crystal Onix.
Hi.
Snowy, you might have heard on Twitch or YouTube, as his monotype playthrough is currently there.
Bonjour.
And NMLewis, who is also doing a playthrough of Ruby, I believe?
Right. Hello.
Yeah. So let's just get right into it. Sword and Shield. How do people enjoy it? Snowy, what do you think about the game?
It's enjoyable. It's a bit of a mixed bag. I had a couple of times where I was just like, ugh. But for the most part, it is enjoyable. It's got a better story than we'll talk about this before the cast, but I reckon it's got a better story and way well done than Generation 6 was. I would call it better than Generation 7 even.
Lewis, any thoughts?
Well, yes, I also have a pretty mixed bag with it. There are definitely a lot of things that I love about it, but equally, I am not a fan of some things. And if you want me to go into specifics, I can do that.
Let's get CO's thoughts on the game as a whole first.
Overall, I thought it was positive. There's generally more stuff I like about it.
So, what were some of the down times, the meh experiences of the game? Lewis? Just feel free to jump in if no one else is talking.
Yeah, I will. Well, obviously the thing that immediately springs to mind is the cutting down of the decks, but that looks like it will be improved in those expansion packs, which I'm very happy about, especially for Celio's family. But I don't really like the Dynamax thing, but I use it a lot more than I did with Zemu, so there's that.
It just looks really corny when it's not one of the Pokemon that gets a Gigantamax form.
I know, and also the fact that you have to catch those in dens. They can't just be that automatically. That annoys me.
Yeah. Like, it seems that, like, the last few generations, Pokemon's been making it easier to get into the competitive scene, but now then they just throw this thing on top of you. Just, like, go back 5 years, back to having to RNG for your competitively viable Pokemon again.
As it makes it a bit too accessible. Not that I was ever good at competitive battling, but yeah.
Snow, you said you were having some problems in the game.
Some of it just feels a bit repetitive. But I guess that might be a bit to do with Pokemon's formula, isn't it?
Yeah, it's kind of par for the course.
Yeah.
All of the old style RPGs have some grinding aspects to them.
Oh no, I meant the story itself. There was a part there. I don't think the episode's aired yet. Hang on, let me just have a look. No, the episode, the hasn't aired yet, but there is a bit further on. I'm just trying to remember because I've recorded all this a couple of months ago.
Yeah.
But there was a part in the story where it's just flatline kind of thing. It just gets to be quite dull. But other than that, I did enjoy the game. So
So
I do feel like the story is kind of nothing.
that could be said about quite a few of the Pokemon games, really.
Well, it's just that there was just kind of this crowbardy and evil thing at the end, and then it just seemed very rushed at the end there.
that's a good point too. Yeah.
Yeah, as someone who hasn't played the game, I only have Bulbapedia to go off of. I haven't really seen much of the plot. It seems
There really isn't much to speak of.
Yeah. It seems like
yeah, it's pretty simplistic, I think.
It seems like the majority of it is just your typical go through the league. Oh, here's this team yell who bothers you from time to time, but just moving on through. And then somewhere along the way, the leader of the Pokemon League company is evil?
Apparently.
Pretty much.
I did have a feeling he was kind of shady.
Oh yeah, as soon as they revealed his art, I could tell that was the bad guy. Well-dressed man in suit who is rich, who is not the professor. That's either
right.
That's gonna be the bad guy.
Although I do not like the champion, I hope I won't ruffle anyone's feathers by saying that character is weak.
Yeah, I've only got the impression from fans that Leon's kind of a adult.
Yes. I'm not a fan.
I would call him one-dimensional overdramatic, if that makes sense.
Is he?
No, yeah, I can see that. As far as Leon was concerned, I was just kind of like, eh.
Yeah, I just couldn't wait to replace him.
Like a constant hype man or something? Like he's always excited? Always freaking out about the next Pokemon battle?
That was kind of Hop's role, but yes. Leon was just known as the unbeatable champion, and at every opportunity they would mention that he was unbeatable, and I'm like, well, it's gonna happen. So.
It's obvious he has a Charizard. No one can beat Charizard.
I beat Charizard.
So, Lewis brought up briefly the dex cutting. What was it? Almost 400 Pokemon just were not included in the game.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Did you, like, previous games, you have your, like, 200, 300 Pokemon you'd go through on the normal playthrough of the game and see, and then usually they'd have a smattering of the old ones, like, in a post-game section somewhere, and then you just transfer the rest in. But with a lot of Pokemon getting cut, was there still the post-game? Like, going out and catching new Pokemon?
Yeah.
So they actually set aside some from their group that they did put in, just specifically for late game.
As far as I can tell, anyway.
I don't feel that there was anything exclusive.
Yeah,
Apparently, well, just
I didn't think there was anything exclusive in the post-game or whatever.
Yeah, it's just you could catch things that you couldn't catch before because you're limited by your level before you pass the league. And then also everything becomes level 60, which is good. But
Oh yeah, at certain badge levels you can only catch a maximum Pokemon of a maximum level. Like, you cannot catch anything above level 30, for example. Which,
That just seems like a nuisance.
All right, that kind of frustrated me when I was trying to catch the Gigantamax Pokemon out in the wild area, and I didn't have all the badges yet, so they just kind of couldn't be caught.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I cannot battle any of the 5-star ones without getting assistance from actual people online. It is impossible with the NPC characters.
Nope.
They
Probably
bring magic up, so
Sounds like it's the
Oh,
same
no.
AI that you fight in the normal game.
basically.
Yeah.
So the wild
Yeah,
area
the
was...
ones that,
Go ahead, Snowy.
Yeah, the ones that, go to the Dynamax dens with, a Magikarp or something ridiculously stupid, they were frustrating.
So the wild area seemed to be like the big new thing they were trying to sell off. This like open border, like open levels, sort of multiplayer-ish kind of thing. How do you
Yeah.
feel about that?
I mean, you could see the other players and interact sort of with the other players, kind of like an MMO. And I actually like that. I hope they bring that back into future games.
I did enjoy it, but I wasn't able to get to as many Pokemon camps as I wanted to, because whenever I found one, it was apparently already full, and that's my main complaint about that. I love Pokemon camping. I just want to make that clear.
I actually loved the Pokemon camping too, especially when someone else showed up to my
Yeah.
camp.
You
I
can actually make good curry.
Yeah. And I actually didn't have the experience of the camps being full. Most of the time I was playing, the camps were pretty much empty.
Oh, I could just, like, whenever I found one, it was just, and they were few and far between. I think I found 2 in the times that I've played it. I should get back on there, but yeah.
Because I was doing a blind let's play, I didn't actually use the multiplayer feature, so I didn't encounter any of that. The wild area to me was kind of what I would want the most of the game to control like, if that makes sense. I loved having actual control of my camera.
I also.
Oh yeah, me too.
Did they ever?
I often would
like
accidentally try to use it later.
So what I've seen is from the E3 and early footage of it. Did they ever fix the or expand the draw distance? Because what they showed off at E3, there was like a 20-foot draw distance before things would suddenly pop in. It looked kind of bad.
Often large Pokemon would just suddenly appear on the horizon, but it kind of like they appeared in like a cloud kind of, so it was alright.
So you had that old early PlayStation fog of war on the horizon at all times?
I don't remember having any fog of war type of
I just mean they kind of appeared in a cloud of smoke, or just suddenly.
Oh, like a magic poof?
Yeah, that's right.
I remember some of them popping out of the ground suddenly. I'm like, what?
Well, Diglett I can understand, but the rest of them.
Those the ones that pop up on the overworld, those are usually stronger than what you'd find in the grass, right?
Yes.
Did that ever become a problem? Like, did that ever
some of them. Some of them were uncatchable due to the level restrictions I mentioned earlier.
I've never used so many Pokédolls as I've used in this game.
Yeah. So,
I did like being able to see them though, so if I really wanted to not fight them, I could just go around them, avoid them, rather than them
Oh.
just pop up.
Sometimes things like Gallade will like totally charge at you, and then you're locked into a battle with them, and you didn't even want
I
to.
On that note, I mentioned this to Magnificent Entertainer, but in his Let's Play, he's telling people to stop running away from him, and on my Let's Play, I'm telling Pokemon to stop chasing me.
Pretty much it.
It seems like it would be annoying from like a gameplay and progress point, but also fun from like an immersion point. Because like you are going around the wild, there's going to be Pokemon that attack you more aggressively than normal.
Yeah, that makes sense. I was just rewatching some of my my Let's Play footage, and at one point I had a Digger's Beak just pop out of the ground.
So the wild area, it seemed like it was made, like, had different chunks that you would go through as you went through the story. Like, you'd go through one way, go to a city, beat the gym, do something, then you go back to a new section of the wild area. Is that how it generally went?
Only had 2 sections, really. Although then, once you got the bike upgrade, there were bits that you could get to that you couldn't before. So that was kind of the last bit of it.
So you could, like, jump from city to city straight from the point, or was it kind of railroading you in the way that it wants you to go?
There were kind of only 3 places where you could enter the kind of proper world, if you will.
Yeah,
But
there's a pre-Motostoke area with weaker Pokemon, and then like a post-Motostoke area with stronger Pokemon you wouldn't really be able to fight easily without going through and beating Motostoke first. And then there was the areas separated off the wild area by water that you could get the bike upgrade to float on the water
So they
later on.
put like natural restrictions so you couldn't suddenly walk straight into like the level 50 area when you're only at level 20.
Oh,
No,
they
you-
let you do it.
Yeah,
You could do that because I went in there deliberately to get a Firestone that's laying on the ground there, so
I'm not sure how far you could have got, because I remember I did get to like the desert area even before going to Motostoke, but by then I was encountering level 45 Pokemon in the grass, and I was like, I really should leave.
Do they like signpost that warning, this is stronger area, might want to come back later?
There's
No.
one guy at a bridge that tells you.
oh yeah, him, yeah.
there's that bridge is the only way also to get from the pre to post Motostoke areas.
Right, so there's at least something, so like kids in the first Pokemon game don't go running in and then just get wiped immediately.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, you can go in there, but that's your choice.
The wild
If
area
I'll
is also
call-
where all the raids happen, right?
Oh yeah, the dens with the Dynamax and Gigantamax. Yeah.
How do those go? Like, you've already said that the NPCs are crap, totally useless. But like, how's
They are useless.
finding and playing with actual people?
It was good. They
Yeah.
usually just bought a Tornatus and did most of the work for me.
There weren't like connection issues or stuff. It's like there's been a lot of
I didn't.
people going around saying
Oh.
that they constantly can't join a raid because there's connection issues or something.
I had a few, but once I got into the battle, it always went without a hitch, so it was good.
Yeah, most of the times I would try to join someone else's raid. I would get the connection issue either this raid is not accepting more players, or this raid
Yeah.
can't be connected to, stuff like that.
That happened to me a lot, and I was like, why put it on the thing if I can't join it?
But when I was hosting the raid, I would almost always get other people being able to come into mine, which was fun.
I just felt bad whenever I was hosting it, and then I was using up the Dynamax thing on my Cramorant or something, and I'm like, do they hate me for this?
Well, I had a few times where I did not use the Dynamax, and nobody else would use the Dynamax either. So I don't know if to be polite, or if it's just NPCs based on these other real people. But
Eternatus doesn't need it anyway, so they can just have it.
Just bring in the final boss. Problem solved.
That's right. Exactly.
So what kind of like communication feature do they have for it? I think they had like a pre-canned chat they showed off.
Don't know.
Like you never tried to actually communicate with the people?
That's correct.
There was just stamps or something, and I was like, okay, I'll use this.
Yeah. So they've been periodically putting new raids out into the world for like, this is the version exclusive for this other game, or I think it was like a couple weeks ago they put out the Toxtricity Gigantamax as a limited time thing. You can't get it anywhere else. How did those go for you?
I was not across that, and I should have been.
I tried those a few times. They seemed much more powerful than the basic Gigantamax. So I did not actually beat them.
So, Lewis, you like missed out on that completely? Like you didn't even realize it was happening?
Basically, I haven't been playing the game probably for the past month, so...
Yeah, and with these, well, what is essentially live service updates, they kind of want you to keep playing. Like, are you going to? Is this enough to entice you to keep going back to this specific multiplayer thing every month?
I've never been a massive enthusiast for that side of things, but I will still be playing the game either way at random points. So, but yeah, that's never been a main draw card for me. If it's something that is appealing to me, I will probably try. But yeah, unless they're gonna bring out some massive thing of one of my faves, it's unlikely.
Sio, what about you? You gonna keep coming back, or you just gonna ignore that stuff?
No, I'll probably keep coming back, yeah.
And Snowy, since you were doing a like totally offline thing, have you been keeping up with it? Go back to it now that you're done with the playthrough?
No, I haven't touched the multiplayer at all.
Just completely disinterested?
Yeah, not really interested, no.
That is really difficult if you're going to use the NPCs in dens, but good luck.
Yeah.
It is doable with like the 3-star ones, but after that, I'm just like, no chance.
I admit I actually enjoyed the challenge from bit of difficulty, but as noted earlier, some of them are just complete idiots.
Yeah, some are actually
I've noticed the Soul Rock one only uses the
rock polish.
Yeah, that.
Sorry,
or actually not even that. It was some other cosmic
Cosmic
themed
power. Cosmic power.
That's Solrock, though.
Hello, Kevin. Late join here. Kevin, who runs our Twitter and Facebook and what else?
I do the Bulba News Weekly Roundup, but that's been dead for a little while.
Right. He's responsible for all the terrible memes you see.
Yeah. Yeah, I overslept, y'all. I'm sorry, but for what you were talking about with raids, I've never done a raid without friends I know, because there's no way that no one's gonna mess that up.
Yeah, just talk with people through Discord or something. Just avoid
Yeah,
the
yeah.
whole in-game interaction entirely.
Well, I've tried max raids with NPCs. Sometimes you get lucky, sometimes you get Solrock, and yeah, and that Wobbuffet with counter. Is it counter? Forget.
Yes. And it once managed to use it at the right time.
That's impossible.
So I think we've been a bit down on the game for a couple minutes here. Let's talk about the stuff you really liked. Like, what new Pokemon really struck you?
I have a list.
How long is it?
Cramorant. Oh, it's only a few.
All right.
I have Cramorant, Copperaja, Brunregus, Jotla, and Reboot. These were the ones that appealed to me the most. Yes, the middle form of the starter.
Did you manage to evolve that Brunregus on your own, or did you have to look up a guide?
That was really obscure.
Yeah, like when people were trying to figure it out so we could put it on the Pedia, I was like, that seems like really specific. Like that has to be like a reference to something, like its lore or something. But I've never seen anything.
Got such sad lore, and yet I still love it. Like, I love Cofagrigus, but I also love Brunregus. But I also really like Galarian Farfetch'd. It is awesome. I just love that heavy leak that it has, and just how sinister it looks.
As for me, I've only focused on fire Pokemon, so I haven't had much exposure to the new stuff. But I really did like the design of Nickit and its evolution.
That's the
Evil.
fox?
That's the fox, yes.
Yes. The Ninetales ripoff. I mean, it's a 2-stage fire fox. It's just Ninetales again. Come on.
It's dark type,
It's
actually.
dark
That's
type.
Zorua, too.
So it's... Wait, is it dark and fire, or just dark?
It's dark. Just
dark.
dark.
Oh. The thing
I
was
think
bright
it
red,
is
I assumed it was
closer to
fire.
Vanilla, yeah. I assumed that too when I first saw it.
Should have been both. Best of both Vulpix and Zorua.
I was kind of a fan of Colossal.
Oh yeah, Colossal is pretty cool, especially with the ability increasing its speed. And because that's something I like to do, increase speed, so that was yeah.
Yeah, that big coal minecart Pokemon.
I do like Carkol. It is cute in a strange way.
It looks like a tire.
Oh, Carkol is the
tire.
middle form.
Oh, it's the... I don't remember what that one looks like.
The
Ludicolo
minecart
is
one.
the one you're talking
Okay.
about.
Kev, what was your favorite Pokemon?
So when the Pokemon leaked, I immediately went in and was like, I started choosing the ones I really liked. So I set up a team almost immediately before the game came out.
And then you found out half
So
of them were version exclusives, right?
no, so my team right now, other than Clefable, and they're all my favorites. So Grookey, Morpeko, Graplocked, Sandaconda, and Nickit. And then my friend also made me really like Indeedee and Appleton. I think Gen 8 has Gen 7, Gen 8, they've been really delivering with these Pokemon designs. They're really nice, you know?
Yeah, from what I've seen, just looking at images on the site, they've got a, I don't know, it seems like a more sensical style. Like, just something about Gen 7 seemed kind of, like, really specific. Like, they were trying really hard to fit this one small area of the world. But
I'm
Sword and
definitely-
Shields seems like a more
And-
broader range.
And with James
of
Turner
designs.
as the art director, you can clearly see the direction the Pokemon went for this gen.
I definitely preferred Gen 8 over Gen 7 for this.
Yeah, the one I've liked the most as just like a visual design is Phalanx.
Oh yeah, Phalanx.
That was very confusing when I first saw that come out of a tunnel.
Just a small little phalanx of Kirby's in armor.
What is happening?
What?
And I thought, when I first saw that, I thought for sure it would be a caterpillar. So I treated it like a bug.
Yeah, some of these typings for these Pokemon are very curious. Like I said, I have Graplocked on my team. That can confuse first comers because, you know, it looks like a water type, it's a fighting type, kind of like what's a Crabrawler? Or a Phalanx looks like it could be a bug type, but it's also, I think, pure fighting. Lots of fighting types.
Yeah. How is the type distribution in general?
I noticed there was not a lot of water types when I was was there not a lot of? Yeah, I think so. When I was trying to choose from Pokemon before the game came out, I noticed there was a lack of water types from Gen 8. From all the generations together, it's all even, but just from like the 80 Pokemon that the new ones that we got, there was some lack of representation for some of these types.
Well, water is the most prevalent type overall, so I guess that would just be sort of like balancing it out. Just put a lot
That's
more
true.
old water types.
I always try to keep my team to the gen, so I guess that's just a personal thing.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of dragon types.
Really?
Hey,
There was that
Earlier on?
well,
Or are they all just like, tossed at the end like usual?
I'm trying to remember because
Two of the
Eternatus,
fossils are dragon.
yeah, two of the fossils, Appleton's line, and then what's it called? The
Dreepy.
Dreepy line. Yeah.
And also Duraludon.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the Zippo lighter.
Kind of.
So how was the aesthetic of the Galar region?
I would call it interesting. I would call it interesting. It's not Hoenn. It's not as good as Hoenn, but it's somewhere up.
It was definitely Castle.
What?
You know,
Castle.
yeah, castles like what was
Oh
it,
yeah,
that,
it had
that one.
definitely had a medieval England kind of fame to it.
Hammerlock and its impossible architecture.
Except for Motostoke, that was definitely that went all in on the on the
UK.
Industrial Revolution.
I really like the region. I like it's so beautiful. The way the Switch, renders it is really nice. I just kind of wish there was more to explore other than the wild area. But
So like the cities aren't that large.
they kind of push you in one direction or the other.
How so?
Typical Pokemon formula.
So like you'll have.
But
Yeah,
even the routes are kind of small.
Most of the cities were really small. Like that one grass gym city was pretty much just the gym.
There was that one thing with whatever it's called, the Stone Journer event for it, but that's also it. So you have the gym, you have I think the Stonehenge kind of thing.
Yeah. Kev, you brought up the Switch rendering. There's been some people saying that the Switch doesn't seem to render it all that well. That like some things take some pop in, some things just kind of look have low quality textures. It's like, did you guys have any of those issues?
Yes.
I did visit the famous Galar Tree. It's a national landmark. But other than the trees, everything looks pretty nice. There is pop-in, but I'm talking about just generally, not like when you're walking. Like you could stop in the middle of the wild area and you can just like take in the view, and that's kind of what I'm trying to describe.
Occasionally, there were corners that I went into in the wild area, and the camera just disappeared. And then I was like, "Where am I? What's happening?"
You ran into the invisible wall, like the camera got stuck
Yeah.
behind the wall.
I guess so. All I could see, it was like it was first-person point of view suddenly.
For me, I think I'd be a bit more harsh than because I'm looking at a screenshot from my own Let's Play right now, and the ground looks really bad. Overall, I'd say it's fairly decent, but there are areas I would rather they had another month or so to work on, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
It seems to me like there wasn't really much of a overall design change in how they design characters and places from Sun and Moon. Like every generation, there's usually like a jump in graphical quality or fidelity or just style in general. But this,
Yeah.
it just seems
Sorry.
like improved Sun and Moon.
Yeah, exactly. And when I beat the game, that's exactly what I said, where it's basically, Sun and Moon on Switch, which isn't a bad thing, but I know some people expect more. I'm obviously going to be happy with whatever, so I'm always lax on the games.
I think people overhyped themselves. They were expecting kind of like Zelda Breath of the Wild quality. And I don't think Pokemon was ever going to get to that point. Would be nice, but I don't think it would ever get that point.
I wonder what causes the unique. Oh, that's what I want to ask.
Sorry, yeah, you broke up there. What was it?
I want to know what causes the unique climate of the wild area. The weather is extreme.
Right, they have I think they have it set up so like the first of every month is some radical weather event or something.
Well,
Just
it's just different weather in really centralized, localized locations.
Has
crazy.
anyone here ever played MMOs like World of Warcraft?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Final Fantasy.
I don't know if it applies to Final Fantasy, but in World of Warcraft, if you're in one area, you can move a meter to the right, and suddenly you're in another area with completely different weather. That's kind of what the wild area felt like in some areas.
Oh, so it's modeled after
Basically.
Florida. Because you will have a torrential downpour on one city block, and on the other city block, it is bone dry.
Pretty much. Except you're stepping 1 meter to the left.
Yeah.
I was
So-
a little annoyed at the weather, because it turns out that it's unlocked over time, and some of it's after you beat the champion. I can't tell you how many hours I spent trying to get fog, to get Clefairy, only to find out that you have to beat the champion first. That had me a little bit miffed because there actually is levels for weather that doesn't exist.
I didn't know that either, so there you go.
Because when you beat the game, just going a little bit off topic, and maybe that can lead into something else. When you beat the game, all the wild Pokemon in the wild area turn into level 60. So they do help you grind a bit, which is pretty cool. But that weather is kind of dependent on it.
So now that Pokemon has moved onto the Switch, there's been a bit of a price increase from what the 3DS games cost. In the US, it was like a $10 to $15 increase. Do you think these games
20 or 30.
30? Where are you getting your
It.
games?
Actually, wait, no. So
Went
no,
from
you're right.
40 to
It's
60 in the
20.
US.
Yeah, 40 to 60. Yeah.
Well, I've never seen Pokemon for under 50 because it's Nintendo. But
Since Let's Go, it's been 60 in the US.
right, since they moved on to the main console, air quotations,
Mm-hmm.
they've now gone up to regular $60 full retail price. Does the game hold up for that price increase?
No.
No.
It's just a 3DS game on the Switch. It shouldn't be $20, $15 more.
No. Especially now that you have DLC and Pokemon Home and, Nintendo Switch Online, you're already paying. If you're a show like me, that's already 120 plus 20 plus 60 now for the DLCs if you're getting both of them. So that's a lot. But, if you're not a show like me, then you're probably paying less. But if you try to go all out, you're going to have to go into your wallet a bit.
Speaking of that expansion pass, how do you feel about that?
Oh, it looks exciting. I'm happy Zora is back.
Happy Celio's family are confirmed. Because it feels like they would belong in that ice flow area that was in the game, and I was pretty annoyed that they couldn't be there.
All I hope is I saw that they were bringing back all the legendaries. I just hope they bring back all the starters too.
Yeah, I like how they're adding Pokemon with the DLC. I wish they had told us they were going to do that before the game's released.
Yeah, it would have been
I
nice
don't know.
if what's his face, Masuda, wasn't adamantly telling press that they had absolutely no plans to add Pokemon in updates.
Man, that
Well,
E3 sure was something.
When they got that Nintendo Direct where they were announcing that there was going to be Pokemon Home, I kind of figured this would probably happen where they would add Pokemon in to this game later.
But I will give Game Freak benefit of the doubt where even if you don't get the DLC, you'll still be able to update and get those Pokemon if they're traded to you, which is cool. So you're not locked behind a paywall, essentially. But
That is definitely nice, yes. And I
Yeah.
think, if my math is correct, based on what we've known so far, we're only about 200 Pokemon out from having the full Dex in Sword and Shield once the DLC comes out.
and
I think.
I don't want to touch upon the whole quote unquote controversy much, but do you think the next games they'll learn from it, or do you think they'll continue what they did with Sword and Shield?
Oh, the next games will be built largely off what Sword and Shield ends up being. So, they'll already have all that stuff at their disposal. They won't have to go through another process of converting to a new engine or anything. So, next game will
That's
absolutely
true.
have all of them.
I hope they've future-proofed the models and stuff so they're easy to port into the next 2 or 3 games.
Yeah, what
Oh,
they were
yeah.
supposed to do with the 3DS.
Yeah. Because for me personally, Pokemon is a bug catching game basically. The whole point is gotta catch them all. I enjoy other stuff, but that is the main thing I'd play the game for, is gotta catch them all.
Right.
So this expansion pass is it's essentially acting as the third version thing instead of selling you a whole another $60 game, just $30 for
Yeah,
whatever
which is
new
good.
stuff we would have thrown into the game, regardless. But
You can tell that because they're taking a year off, or which is hasn't been done since like what, Diamond and Pearl?
they took a year off after Oris to put Sun and Moon out for
Well, I
20th
mean,
anniversary.
for the same gen, right?
Within the same gen, yeah, I can't remember the last time they actually had a year.
Because Diamond and Pearl was 06, and then Platinum was 08, I think. So
This will certainly be an appropriate year to take off.
Yeah, but
and when are
it
the
seems
Diamond
to-
and Pearl remakes?
Yeah.
I was just thinking that myself.
The expansion pass just seemed to be announced too early. Like, the games came out in November, and the direct for the expansion pass happened in January. The game hasn't been out 3 months, and you're essentially announcing the next Pokemon game.
Well, to
Then
be
again-
honest,
Sorry, do you want?
I
Yeah.
Sorry, you go.
To be honest, I kind of prefer that. I'd like to have an idea of what's going to be going on in my favorite franchises over the next year or so. Obviously, they're not going to release all the information at once, and they haven't done that. But I like having a bit of information going forward. In development, we call it a roadmap.
And Pokemon fans, Nintendo fans, they're hungry. They're always asking for info. So the earlier the better for everyone, right?
I suppose. It kind of rubbed me the wrong way, because a lot of people were saying there's some cut corners. There's, Sword and Shield definitely had a quality of feeling rushed, and then only a couple months later saying, hey, we've got this new thing, but you're going to have to pay for it again.
I would agree with the feeling rush thing, yes. As I said, when we're talking about the Wild Areas graphics, I would have rather they had another month, maybe 2 months, just to polish off the game.
Right, and because DLC, it didn't take them from November to June or July, whenever the first half is coming out. It didn't take them that 6 months to do it. They were working on that before the game shipped. So, there were probably a month or two where they were working on the DLC when they could have been polishing up Sword and Shield instead.
That's a fair argument, I think.
So if you guys, I might have missed it. Did you guys talk about? So what's your feeling about Game Freak and everyone right now? Then, what's your opinion of how the company is operating and stuff?
I've felt for the last few years that Game Freak is stubbornly trying to not expand itself, which there is reason to not want to expand.
Be careful, they're
company.
listening to us.
Okay.
Hi, Game Freak.
Hello, translator who's translating this all into Japanese for them. But
yeah,
I've never been, never expected much from Game Freak, technically. I don't think they're a very technically proficient developer. I think they just make kind of small games.
When you look at their Pokemon's competitors on the Switch itself and on the 3DS, Pokemon is way behind in terms of just about everything. And I think, from a business standpoint, I think Game Freak is overextending itself a little too much by doing yearly releases.
Right. Like
That's how
it's-
Yokai Watch died.
Yeah, I would
Yeah.
totally be fine with a bit more time between releases.
I've heard people jokingly refer to it as another Call of Duty.
Well, Call of Duty has 3 different companies making it every year.
Yeah. So Call of Duty has actually got a leg up kind of thing.
Yeah. Even Assassin's Creed
s-
has multiple companies
speaking of-
working.
Speaking of that Rush asked, what do you guys, because during Switch Sword and Shield's release, or whatever trailer period, forgot what it's called. Basically, what's that name? The other game came out, The Town
Oh,
by
right,
Game Freak.
the Little Town Hero.
Yes.
I heard from
So they're
the
also
few
putting
people who
resources on that game.
I heard from the few people who actually played that game that there was also a rushed aspect to that, and it felt like the game had to be rushed out the door so that team could go back to Pokemon.
Wow. I mean, I've been wanting to play it. I've been putting my money on other things, but it does seem interesting. But I have heard also not stellar reviews, which is unfortunate. It looked really promising.
Yeah, that's pretty much Game Freak's output. They don't do big games. Like, outside of Pokemon, the few things they put out, like Harmonite or the Giga Wrecker, they're pretty small, simple games. Like, I guess to put it in a term, like a $30 game, like a B game or something. Not something you'd expect from the company that produces the best-selling video game franchise in history.
But
Right.
there we come to the
Nintendo.
catch, don't we? If we compare the sales numbers of the main series game to the side games, specifically one side game in particular, though.
I mean, are we talking Pokemon Go here?
Yes.
Right. Microtransaction phone game thing.
Yeah.
It's hard to compare
I've
those
actually-
to console games because they're essentially 2 different markets.
Yeah, but when you look at based purely on the income,
Yep. But also those two, their mobile games have help. It's not just Game Freak. They like Go is Niantic, Masters is DNA, so they're outsourcing those to other companies.
Right.
So
Game
does
Freak-
that count? Does that count as Game Freak? Because
Well, no, that's the Pokemon company.
no, that's
the
the
overarching
Pokemon company. Yeah.
thing.
What I would love to see though is a bit more development time, a bit more development resources devoted to the main series games.
Yeah, with Sword and Shield, they seem to fully go towards moving, putting new people in charge. Sun and Moon was the first time first new game that was directed by someone who wasn't one of the old timers there, and now we have
Mori, yeah.
now we have James Turner as the art director. It seems they're getting new blood into the series. I'd like to see more of that, just more resources, more effort put behind them.
I know Mori did Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon as well.
Right, the 20 minutes of extra gameplay those games provided.
Right.
Yeah.
I would have preferred that be DLC like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything before, the minor changes before the end game seemed totally nothing. Oh, Lucimane's not crazy now. That's kind of a downgrade.
At least Chairman Rose. It's not Chairman Rose who suddenly is evil at the last minute.
He's a billionaire. He's obviously evil.
Did you see that his casual clothing That was
I
the
loved his
weirdest.
casual clothing.
Uh,
I found that a very amusing scene.
isn't it like just a sweat clothes or something?
Yeah, yeah.
It's just a sweat tracksuit, sweatpants, sweatshirt thing.
It's great.
So I think the only thing we haven't really talked about yet is Pokemon Home. It came out recently.
Oh, I got that first day.
Right.
I
Yeah,
still
me
haven't
too.
got it, and I should.
Have you bought the what is it? The Pro version? What do they call it?
Yes,
Pro,
I
right?
have.
Yes.
I have the yearly one.
Yeah, me too.
Is that stuff worth paying for? Just straight up, is that worth putting down? What, $5 a month?
16 a year.
So like $2 a month.
No, but it's the same idea as Nintendo Switch Online, where if you're gonna want your Pokemon, you kind of have to do it. So it's like
If you
you don't. It's not worth it, but like I'm gonna disgruntled do it.
if you found Pokemon Bank to be worth it, then you'll probably find Pokemon Home to be worth it.
I loved Pokemon Bank and I love Pokemon Home. It's just the price increase was kind of upsetting.
Yeah, and the fact
From
that
from
there's,
5 a year to 16 a year. That was
Yeah, I agree with that.
and to add it that you can't there's no system in place to get both a home account and the bank thing.
No, they are independent. But
Right.
I think it's expired now, but
they
if you
did offer
bought-
that free trial, yeah.
yeah, the 3 month within the first month of Pokemon Home, but I think that's over now.
Which is also kind of dumb because it should be free trial for when you buy it, not when everyone buys it.
Yeah,
That
that's
would be nice, yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
pointless. So
Pokemon Home,
I think it's cool. I think the models are kind of weird. Some of the lighting on the models are a bit off. Gudra in Pokemon Home looks really weird.
yeah, the stuff I've seen, the lighting gives it a more like cartoony feel.
Very glossy.
Yeah, like it's almost like they didn't shade it; they just lit it and then
Put a light on it, yeah.
they didn't put shadows on it anywhere.
But,
everything-
that's not a problem considering it. I mean, that's not the main gist of Home.
Yeah.
But I do want to know where they store the models because I'm gonna I will admit it. When I was a kid, I used Action Replay. So when I had an Eternal Flower Floette, I transferred it to Home just for fun. And while you can't see it on Switch, it does show it on the mobile version, which is very interesting to me.
Huh. So you actually bothered remaking that model or whatever.
So on Switch, they didn't make artwork for it, but on the mobile version, which uses the 3DS models, it's still there. They haven't wiped it, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah.
But that's just I don't know if they plan on doing something with Eternal Floette. They finally released that Red Magearna, which is cool.
Yeah, the one that looks like a Pokeball.
The original one, yeah.
yeah, that's the one you get if you complete the Living Dex, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think there's rumors around that the latest update kind of lowered the threshold on that. I'm not sure.
I have about 1,000 for the Snowy. Are you the only one who has Home in this
Sorry, Snowy is
Sorry, I
currently
missed that.
pushing a minecart, it sounds like.
So I just went over to get my iPad because I was just trying to look up something. What was the question, Kev?
Are you the only one in this call who has Home?
No, I actually have Home.
So, how many Pokemon do you guys have right now in your home?
I have. Hang on, let me open it up. Please don't.
I have
play
about
music, please don't play music.
I have about 1,000.
Yeah, I have 1,543.
Why do you need that many Pokemon?
I mean, I just had them all in bank as results
Yeah,
of breeding projects.
But there's
So
only
I went through
900.
my entire. Well, I was an Action Replay user, so I cloned a lot. So that's where a lot of them probably come from. But I never really checked since then.
I
That
have
was a long time ago.
1,100. I have 1,168.
Power
I
Saves.
win.
By the way, speaking, I guess. Sorry, Blake. I know you're the host here, but I also have a bit of topics I want to talk about. Uh, for hacking, you got. I noticed when Pokemon Home came out, there was a lot more hacked Pokemon. What do you think that's all about? There was like a lot more trading Pokemon. I heard the GTS got broken because whatever.
Well, the GTS
Or when you
doesn't
traded,
exist
or
in
no,
the base game, right?
not GTS. Surprise trade.
The Wonder Trade
Something
thing.
broke surprise trade.
Yeah, there's
Oh,
a
yeah,
rift that you could get a hacked Pokemon that causes trouble with your games if you use surprise trades.
Yeah, I heard about that. The hacked Pokemon just like it'll get stuck in a state of trying to accept the hacked Pokemon, from what I've heard, and not
It
let you
wipes
do
your game.
anything
Yeah.
else.
Yeah, I imagine that stuff cropped up because it's on the phone, and people know how to do a lot of stuff with the phone.
Use phones.
Yeah, it's a lot easier to do things on the phone. Like, I guess get all the code to make a Pokemon than it is on the Switch. So I assume people are just like making it in their computer, uploading it to the phone or whatever, and then shooting it out.
Since PK Hex I heard is a lot harder now. You actually have to like homebrew your Switch because they made the save files on the system or instead of the SD card.
Right.
So that was their way of countering hacking, which is why like Animal Crossing you can't have more than one island because of the system thing.
Yeah, Nintendo makes their consoles pretty hard to crack into, but now they've just opened up this giant door that is the phone, so anyone can pretty much do anything.
Crazy.
Yep, that seems like an oversight on their part. Whoever it is that's
I know
managing home.
one big glitch for Sword and Shield for the wild area was people were able to switch their dates to get the right weather and raids they wanted.
Yeah, that's always been a thing, really. Whenever there's
Sorry, Glik.
time-based.
I'm just going through different topics, though.
Yeah. Like the only other thing I generally had down was how the GTS is like limited strictly to home. There's no GTS in Sword and Shield at all.
I think that was done deliberately to try and encourage you to use home.
I never liked the GTS in the first place.
Really?
Ever since I was a kid, it's always been people asking for the wrong, like Pokemon you can't get. It's useless.
Mythical Pokemon.
Yeah,
GTS is useless.
the filtering has always been abysmal.
And you can't trade Pokemon like Meltan in home, so there's no point.
I have 4 syllabies from various events in Gen 7 and 6, and I can't get rid of any of them to get Pokemon that I need.
Yeah, they won't let you trade special Pokemon.
No.
Huh. So they have I assume they have a list of specific Pokemon they wouldn't allow to trade if people are still being able to get obviously hacked things through.
I'm guessing it's all like mythicals, some legendaries maybe.
any Pokemon flagged as a special Pokemon cannot be traded either, like the hat Pikachu.
It's very
They should have added cosplay Pikachu back.
Pardon?
Why does the hats get to go in and not cosplay?
because the hats are Ash in the anime, and they gotta sell the anime. Even though anime doesn't really
Pikachu
focus on
Libres and
Ash that much.
Smash. I really do like how they limited like all the cosplay to one game, and then Pikachu Libre became so popular. Like in Smash and Pokken.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty much par for the course for Pokemon. All the really cool stuff happens when it's someone else developing the game.
Spiky-eared Pichu.
Alright, so what did you want to talk about, Kev?
No, I was just going through what was on my mind, but I don't want to hog the spotlight.
Well, I'm, like, out of topics that I planned, so if you've got anything, go ahead.
Let's see. Well,
I
What
just
it-
want to
okay.
comment. Sorry, Kevin. I just want to
Understood.
comment for a moment on the size of Pokemon Home on my iPad. It's only 441 megabytes.
So I do want to know where that Pokemon Home stuff is being stored, like all the models and stuff.
I would
Yeah.
assume it's just a, what do they
So
call
my
it?
biggest fear is there'll be a hack or something. I heard it's not that secure or whatever.
Yeah,
War did a thing on that, and the security didn't look that great for Home.
yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it's not all that great if it wasn't handled by Nintendo. Like, if they just went... The Pokemon Company just went with someone else. I would assume there's... not really secure. But I assume all that stuff is, hosted... What do they call it? When it doesn't download itself to the phone, but it's just, like, broadcast at it.
You mean when it's available online,
Essentially,
where the data is loaded directly from the cloud?
yeah.
I don't notice any delays in loading the game, the model. Oh no. I say that and then Ash Hat Pikachu takes about 10 seconds to load, so maybe it is.
And you like, there's no offline version of Home, right? It has to be connected to Go.
Correct.
Yeah,
look at
right.
everything. So I assume that's
Just like Bank was.
Yeah, I assume all that stuff is just hosted off a server. Oh yeah, server side.
That would make sense, yeah.
Which sucks because my biggest fear is losing, like, everything. Because of the one error.
yeah, having all of your data stored in one place that doesn't seem to be all that secure is worrying.
I admit that when Pokemon Bank first came out, I originally had that worry myself. But Pokemon Bank, at least for me, proved reliable. I never lost a single Pokemon.
Hey, me neither.
I heard some people, when they didn't pay, they lost their Pokemon. That's about it.
Oh yeah, you have that problem, yeah.
I did not pay all the time. Like I let my Pokemon Bank subscription just lapse, and I didn't lose anything. I just couldn't put more in. That was it.
Yeah, there was some sporadic. Sometimes people would say that they lost stuff, but that seemed to like stop happening after a while. Like, it seems like they just stopped doing that. They just stored it. I should check mine. I haven't paid for a subscription since they had that Celebi free from it, which would have been
That was at the beginning,
4
wasn't
years
it?
ago. It's like been like 4 or 5 years now. I should see if my stuff's still in there.
So, I might have to go out for lunch very soon. So I don't want to dip on y'all unless there's anything else you want to talk about.
No, like I said, I've gone through the general topics. If anyone else has anything they want to talk about, feel free.
I
Who's
do.
everyone's favorite gym leader?
Who's your favorite gym leader?
That's right.
Favorite gym leader? Okay, well, Alistair is kind of cool, but everyone prefers Melanie, and Melanie is. That's it. That's all I have to say.
My favorite
I know
gym
neither
leader
of
is
them.
the
Because I only
Um,
played Sword.
I just can't remember his name. The Dark type gym leader.
Yes.
Yeah, I liked him too.
I don't understand why everyone likes Raihan. My
He's
friend's
annoying.
watching.
It's
If my
because
friend,
they're thirsty.
if my friend's watching this, she really likes Raihan. I'm sorry.
It's because they're
Ugh.
thirsty.
Oh, it's just lame. B is my favorite.
Oh, as I have not played the game, I've only looked at their art on the website. I'd probably go with Nessa.
Yeah, she's good.
I like Nessa because she gave me a big challenge, but again, I was playing a fire type monotype playthrough, so
And Piers is the only one who really had like a little bit of development.
Well, yeah, he
'Cause-
actually had a proper role-ish.
His gym was very different.
on the
Okay, like aesthetically, I really liked the Piers's gym and his town, and also what was it that I think it was the fairy one with all the glowing
Opal?
stuff. Yeah, I think so.
Her gym was pretty cool because she asked
Balonley?
you questions. Balonley is the best town. No cap.
Yes,
I like Chichester,
I
but I
love
just love Snow.
Balonley.
on the subject of gyms, something I wasn't really happy with was the pacing. It seemed to be a while for me to get to the first gym, and then
Oh,
they
yeah.
started hitting bang, 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 bang.
It's a different type of gym journey to the other games, and that's kind of, I see it in two different mindsets, kind of, because these definitely aren't your traditional Pokemon gyms.
And you have
Yeah,
to.
this one
I guess you
definitely
have to
had-
look at it from a kid's perspective too. But kids these days are getting more bored. Gotta keep them occupied or whatever. I speak that from seeing my sister.
I didn't have any battles where I curb stomped the leaders like in Gen 6, so that was good.
No,
I
it
did.
was better than Gen 6, I think, in difficulty, but it's still pretty easy.
It
I
was
curb
easy
stomped-
enough.
I curb stomped two of the gym leaders. Does that count?
One of them was the grass one, right?
the grass type and the hang on, let me just bring up Bulbapedia.
But yeah, of course, I had that firebug.
I actually had a
When
lot
I
of
went-
trouble during my first playthrough.
What is that firebug called? The centipede?
Centiskorch?
Yeah, I had that when I went up to the grass type gym, so that was really easy. And I
Actually,
had
yeah,
also
that might have been the hardest part of the gyms for me, the fire type one, where you had to like fight the other trainers to catch others. Like, bro, that was. They kept attacking me.
and also
Just
I
trying to
had
catch it.
been,
Out of the way.
I had been keeping what is it, Corviknight with me since almost the beginning of the game, so that really helped also against the grass type gym.
I like that they made Corvisquire and Rookity pure flying type. That was nice.
Yeah, the ones I curb stomped were Milo and Melanie. But I'm not sure it counts because of my type advantage over them. Speaking of the gym, something I loved was how the badges all fit into this
Oh yeah.
circular giant badge at the end.
Yeah, that was interesting.
They
That's
weren't
nice.
just
It looked kind of ugly.
they weren't
like-
just random things anymore. They were pieces of puzzle.
Yeah, I just didn't really like the symbols that they went with, but that's just a personal thing.
I mean, you say they're less random, but they're actually more random because they're just jaggedy puzzle pieces. Like they're not a teardrop or a leaf or a flame. It's just this chunky
Well,
piece of rock.
they are a teardrop, leaf, or flame. I'm having a look at the glass badge right now, and it's a jaggedy piece of metal, but it's got a leaf design on it.
Yeah, but it just feels kind of step back.
They just feel kind of cheap. I don't know.
Yeah, like they don't stand out as individual things since they're supposed to be part of a bigger whole.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't
all
know,
right,
I
Glik.
liked it anyway.
Oh, Glik, I have to go. I have to go eat. So because I just woke up, so I'm gonna head out.
Right. Well, I think we're pretty much done here. Be a good place to wrap it up.
It was nice. It was nice talking Sword and Shield with y'all, though, and hope everyone listening also had a good time.
Ooh, sorry. All right, if everyone's cool, we'll just end it here. As I said at the top, Snowy has a playthrough that is currently being uploaded to YouTube, and Lewis has a Ruby playthrough going through, as well as other playthroughs from Magnificent
Entertainer has a platinum playthrough.
Right, and Saphir's Sword playthrough just started being uploaded, I believe.
That's... Who was that?
It should be Saphir.
Yeah, that's it.
Right, and on Twitch, I believe we have Dylan's. Dylan was trying to speedrun it. I believe we have that archived on there. There's a lot of Sword and Shield playthroughs. That's what I'm trying to get at, that you can see on our YouTube or our Twitch channel.
And just me randomly playing Gen 3.
Yep. Some random Gen 3 and Gen 4 thrown in there.
They're the best.
There's a case to be argued
Okay,
for
Gen 5 as well.
Gen 5 is definitely the best.
I won't argue with that one.
It ends really strong, I'll give it that. But we will end it here today. I am Glik. With me was Lewis.
Yes,
goodbye.
thank you.
Snowy.
Bye.
Snowy.
Adieu.
Crystal Onix and Kev have already had to go. So,
All right, thank you.
oh, there he is. Kev has left, so assume he said goodbye. And goodbye.